Hello, for this module, one of the course resources that I chose to evaluate is Schoology. I'm currently a long-term sub in the Central York School District, so this is not my personal Schoology page, but it's a Schoology page of the teacher that I'm in subbing for. I am linked to her account, so some of the stuff that you'll see once we get into the video is just things that I've added and also things that she has had from previous years since Schoology. One of the great things about it is that content stays from year to year. You don't have to add it each school year, so it will stay the same. So when reviewing and evaluating Schoology, I use the Online Accessibility Handbook, more specifically the web guidelines, because I thought that it was most direct towards this learning management system, and I thought that it was the most relevant. I also looked at the Desire to Learn guidelines that were linked in the handbook. Some of them were relevant, but since Schoology is different from Desire to Learn, I chose the web guidelines as a more specific tool to use when evaluating this website. So just to get started, Schoology is a really user-friendly website, especially for teachers and students. But when looking at it from the perspective of an online learner or a learner that maybe has different needs, so differentiation, looking at it from that way, there are some things that I would definitely change. Going into my evaluation, I'll discuss more about that. So just to get started, this is the homepage of Schoology, and there are some discussions on this homepage from just different groups that I am in. So that's one of the things starting off that I think would be hard for maybe a student, an online student that needs different differentiation, because there's a bunch of things going on the homepage right away. So I think if there was a way to just directly link to the course and the content that we're doing, it would be a little bit more friendly for the reader, and especially to the font and the print is a little bit small going on the homepage, and there's just lots of things going on at once, so I think it can get a little bit busy and overwhelming for certain learners. I do like that they do have a calendar right here on the side and upcoming events. Now, there's not a specific syllabus that I have on Schoology, and I think that would be something great to have, because in the guidelines they talked about having a syllabus for your learners with a grading scale, different assignments, and course information, and I think that would be really beneficial just to see where we were going with the course up front. But again, I teach 5th grade, so a syllabus is a little more middle school, high school, and even college level. But I can see just having kind of a layout of where we were headed with this semester, or with the quarters or trimesters, whichever you use. So I'm headed into the course content. Right here at the top is a drop-down menu. If you haven't been on Schoology before and you click on your courses, I'm going to go into math because that's what I primarily teach. So coming up, there's just a math course folder. Everything on Schoology that I have is separated into different folders and multiple folders within other folders. So it can get a little bit busy or a lot, but it is all very organized. I try to have it laid out that way for myself and also for my students so that they know where to go in the course. So there's a lot of clicking just to start to get into the course. So we're going to head back into the math course. Once you get into the math course, everything is in a different folder depending on the unit and the content. So scrolling down, some of the things are unpublished, which means that my students can't see it, but I can. So I think that's a great tool of Schoology, and also a great way to provide differentiation for students because they're only viewing certain things at once. So currently my students can only view these folders that are color coordinated, which then falls along with the guidelines too for color. There is a significant color contrast between these things. And there's also words next to it. So students, if they do have trouble seeing different colors, they're colorblind, or just don't have great eyesight, they can still refer to the colors or also the words of the label of the unit. So my headings, I think they're properly formatted, meeting the guidelines listed in the handbook. And it's all listed out and it's very simplistic. So I think that's a great way to display the information. So clicking into one, we'll go into multiplication and division. This is one that has multiple folders within it. So once you click into multiplication and division, you'll see 3 more folders, which are all labeled So I'll click into division, which then has 2 more folders in it, which then students will then click into whichever one they will use. So everything is broken up, which I think is a really great way to organize the information. That way when students just click on division, they're not getting all of the information. Sorry, I'm just going to click back just to refer to it again. They're not getting all of the information with whole numbers and decimals. It's separated to different topics, which I think is a great way to organize the information and keep it all in one spot, which I think meets the guidelines listed on D2L. So then coming into this, here is the different things that are in this folder. I think something that when evaluating this content I would try to change, and I'm not sure if I'm actually able to on Schoology, I'll have to play around with it a little bit more, but hiding the content that we are not doing in class. So if a student is in an online course with me and they'll click onto this folder, all of this will come up at once. And I think it'd be beneficial for the student to just display what we'll be doing that day and then hiding everything else, because then there's no confusion of what we are going into. Because even now currently with my students, when I use Schoology, we walk through, this is where we are going. We're going into division of decimals. You're clicking on dividing decimals with remainders, but then they still get a little bit confused of which one they are clicking on. Even though one is labeled homework, they still get confused on which one that they would be clicking on. So I think hiding the lessons or the worksheets that we are not using would be beneficial, and just displaying the ones that we'll be using that day would make it a lot easier for that online learner. So I think with Schoology and this learning management system, it is easy to navigate, and I think it would be easy to also transcribe because everything is labeled correctly. One thing, looking at the guidelines in the handbook, I don't think it's keyboard accessible, meaning there's no action that can be completed on the keyboard that you can do using the mouse. So, for example, I use a MacBook, and in my classroom we're one-to-one with iPad, so there's no like Command C, Command V, like to copy and paste. There's no keyboard actions to get into Schoology, which I think could be hindering for some learners that may have some trouble with fine motor skills. So going into links, my links do have meaningful text put with them. It displays what the lesson is and gives a clear description of what the students will be going into when clicking on that. Something that I would like to change is maybe separating out the homework and putting that in a different folder within this, because students, like I said, do get confused on which one that they should be clicking on. Another thing is there's no image alternative text description, so the students would definitely have to know what they are clicking on, because if they can't see that, it does say PDF for the lesson, or if it does have a little pencil when that's usually homework. There's nothing in Schoology that just gives them the description of the image shown to them. So I do think Schoology is a great resource and learning management system, and it does seem to meet a lot of the guidelines listed in the handbook. There are some things that I think it could improve on, but as far as being a little bit busy with words on the page for a read to text or a text to read software that students may use if they are have trouble seeing or have other different disabilities that hinder them from using. So just to kind of conclude and wrap up my evaluation of Schoology for this module, like I mentioned, I do think that it meets a lot of the guidelines listed in the handbook. Some of the things I do think it can improve on is maybe a color contrast between folders, or between background and the links on the page. So a different color contrast. One thing too that I noticed that's in the handbook that I haven't been able to figure out on Schoology is the math and science section, the math and science component, where you can write math and science equations using a different software. So mostly if you would click on one of these links, it just takes you to a PDF of a math worksheet, which then my students will upload to Notability and fill out. So something that maybe my online learners could use, a software on the computer that they could use to edit those PDFs directly without having to export it to a different app or software. And Furthermore, the images, there's no alternative text images, and the keyboard accessibility. So those are a few things that I noticed in my evaluation that could definitely improve with Schoology, but there are some great things about Schoology that do meet the guidelines in the handbook, such as headings, links, the navigation, and the transcribed audio and caption video. I think would be really beneficial for the students. So I could put videos onto Schoology describing the lesson instead of them clicking through. So like I have one of them right here with the Ed puzzle is a video that students could watch. So I think that there are some benefits to Schoology, and it does meet a lot of the guidelines in the handbook, but there are also some limitations. So thank you for watching my evaluation on Schoology, and I look forward to hearing your thoughts on the system and what you think are the limitations and the benefits of using it in the classroom.